Have you been watching the NBA? Are you a fan of basketball? Well, if you are, then you're going to like what we have for you. We're going to be talking about the Sixers coach. Don't worry though, we have some other NBA news to throw into the equation as well. So grab a seat and relax because we're about to get started. First up, the Sixers game. Alright, the 76ers got their first taste of what their lives are going to be like without Joel Embiid in the playoffs. Did it go down well? That all depends on your own opinion. I'm not trying to tell you what to think. Anyways, they went down to the Miami Heat by 106-92 in Game 1 of their Eastern Conference semifinals. What happened to Embiid? Well, the major MVP candidate ended up suffering a right orbital fracture and a mild concussion when the Sixers played against the Toronto Raptors in the first round of the playoffs. He ended up being ruled out indefinitely, which wasn't good for anyone. DeAndre Jordan ended up being thrown into the starting lineup as Embiid's replacement, but the veteran was struggling at both ends of the floor, so Embiid's absence was definitely felt. Did you notice that he was missing? Could you see that they were struggling a bit? Well, this whole scenario left a bigger burden on Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, and James Harden. All three of them needed to step up their offensive output, but they just couldn't do enough to stop Miami from taking all the spoils in the opening game. I mean, we can't be too hard on them. That was a pretty tough game. What were you thinking when the game started? Were you slightly nervous for everything to go down? Then we go into the game. The game started with the Heat going at it from the beginning. They were explosive and easily got to a leading position as Doc Rivers' side struggled to find the chemistry they needed without Embiid. I mean, they struggled so much that the hosts ended up taking a 30-22 lead in the first quarter. However, the Sixers didn't give up. No, by the time the second quarter came around, they ended up stealing the lead and they went into halftime with 51 points while the Heat had 50. Many people thought that this was going to be the beginning of them getting back into the game and winning, but that didn't happen. When the third quarter hit, the Heat showed up and turned up for everyone. They came back alive and continued to dominate offensively all the way through to the final period to take home the opening game in the series. What did you think about Miami Heat's comeback? Do you think they put in that work to win? So, who scored the points? As for the points, we have a few names that need to be mentioned. Miami center Bam Adebayo scored 24 points and 12 rebounds, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. Then Tyler Herro scored 25 points and 7 assists, who was also from the bench. These two players really brought their A game when they showed up that day. When it comes to the Sixers, Harris led with 27 points and 6 rebounds, but he didn't get a whole lot of help from his teammates. James Harden only got 16 points, which wasn't very impressive. Do you think that there are any other people we should mention from the games? Did anyone else stand out to you? Now, let's get into the post-game show. NBA analysts Jenny Smith, Shaquille O'Neal, and Charles Barkley were all really disappointed that Harden let it all slip in the second half, especially since the Sixers were leading in the interval. O'Neal said that his approach really needs to change and that he needs to be more aggressive. He also pointed out that Harden was a little aggressive, but that this is the playoffs, so you either win or you go home. I do agree with that because everyone who is showing up for the playoffs is hungry, and it's not very forgiving if you don't put in the effort or the work. The last thing the Sixers are going to want is to drop off so quickly. Smith also came in and agreed with O'Neal by saying that he's uncertain if Harden can play like how he used to. Smith also said that it seemed like he's struggling to create the pace that would get him to 25 shots like he used to back in the old days. Barkley also chimed in to air out his disappointment. He said that he was really disappointed in the team because they had the game right there at halftime, but Harden didn't give what he was supposed to, especially since Embiid is nowhere to be found. Harden really needed to step up and shoot 25 shots. Then the fans weren't happy about everything either. They went to the only place to go when you want to air out your grievances, Twitter, and let the coach know that they didn't agree with his choices in this game. Some fans even pointed out how the team was up when DeAndre was on the bench. What was your reaction when you saw everything go down? Did you think Rivers made a mistake bringing in DeAndre? Also, keep watching because we have more news about this game and the NBA. Will DeAndre be back? Now, this might surprise you, but DeAndre will be playing again. Rivers has said that he has support for the big man and that he's going to keep him starting whether people like it or not. We can't be too mad at that because Rivers is just trying to make the best decision that he thinks will be good for the team, and he also needs to do right by his players. Do you think he's made the right choice? Will this hurt his reputation as a coach with fans? Bob Lanier dies at 73. Bob Lanier was left-handed and made a big name for himself back in the day when he was a part of the NBA. NBA. He muscled up beside Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as one of the top players of the 1970s, but he passed away on May 11, 2022. He was 73. The NBA has come out and said that he died after battling a short illness. He was also in the Hall of Fame, and he worked for the league as a global ambassador. It came out in 2019 that he was being treated for bladder cancer. Back in the day, he played 14 seasons with the Detroit Pistons and Milwaukee Bucks. He averaged out 20.1 points and 10.1 rebounds for his career. Right now, he is third on the Pistons' career list in both points and rebounds. He was definitely someone everyone was very proud of. Detroit ended up drafting him with the #1 overall pick in 1970, and he was happy to be with them. The NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said that Lanier was one of the most talented centers that the league has ever seen, and added that his accomplishments went farther than just the court. For over 30 years, he was the global ambassador for the league, and he was a special assistant to David Stern. On top of this, he traveled the world and taught the game's values and made a positive impact on young people everywhere he went. He said that the sport was a labor of love for Lanier. He was also one of the kindest and most genuine people he had ever met. The Bucks also issued a statement praising Lanier for his contributions on and off the court. They said that Lanier was an all-time great for the Bucks, and his number 16 is hanging in the rafters at Fiserv Forum. Also, they pointed out that he was one of the most popular Bucks players on and off the court. All of the fans knew of his kindness and generosity. Lanier was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1992. There are even bronze sneakers of his there in his shrine. They're size 22, which is why many people said that he wore boat-sized shoes. I mean, those shoes must have been massive. However, back in 1989, a Converse representative came forward and said that he actually wore size 18.5, but they never changed it. Lanier once said that most people can put both of their feet in one of his shoes. I bet that was an interesting thing to see. He was born on September 10, 1948 in Buffalo, New York. Lanier went to St. Bonaventure College and averaged 27.6 points and 15.7 rebounds in the 3 seasons that he was there. He also had a lot of injuries during his career, from his shoulder to his back and all the way down to his toes, but that never stopped him from being a center in the NBA. Bob Lanier is a legend that will be sorely missed, but he has left a legacy that we live on for forever. Also, all the hearts he has touched will go on to touch more, just like he did. Do you have any memories of Bob Lanier? Well, that's the end of this video. We've updated you on the Sixers and Lanier's passing. What do you think is going to happen to the Sixers? Let us know down below.